Good evening.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
What show are you here to see? Oh, great. That'll be down the hall and to your left.
Thanks.
Sure. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, we can manage from here.
Okay. Well, once you get to the auditorium, we do have seating for you and your companion. But if you need any further assistance, just let me know.
Thanks. Thanks again.
Sure. Enjoy the show.
Whenever dealing with the public, it's important to maintain a professional attitude at all times, and this is especially true for patrons with special needs.
Because people everywhere, regardless of age, sex, or in this case disability, want to be treated with dignity and respect. A patron with special needs may be someone disfigured in an accident or a fire, or they may be obese, walk with a limp, or blind.
Not all disabilities are obvious.
Or as in this case, they may simply be elderly and a little unsteady on their feet.
So always be kind, don't stare, and never laugh, even if it's simply because you're uncomfortable.
And if you really feel that you're unable to handle a situation professionally, then just excuse yourself and quickly get someone to replace you.
Serving patrons with special needs is just a part of good customer service.
In some theaters, patrons with special needs are accommodated through physical changes in the building, such as a ramp or special doorways, or an ALD, that's assistive listening device.
But even if special physical or equipment accommodations can't be made, or are simply not available, you can still assist a patron with these special needs by the service you provide. Remember, the golden rule of service is to treat others as you would have them treat you. So put yourself in their shoes and think about how you'd like to be treated if you were that person.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Fine.
Can you give me a hand?
Oh, sure. Did you need some help with your concessions?
No,
or
can you wheel me in?
Oh, sure. I can do that.
When the customer enters the theater or approaches you specifically, be ready to offer the necessary service or assistance. But in the case of wheelchair patrons, never touch their chair without asking. And if you're busy, then call for another staff member to help out. Remember, just because someone has a disability or some special service needs, they're not invisible. Obviously, you don't want to stare, but look at the individual and make eye contact just as you would with any patron. Then smile and greet them in a friendly and welcoming fashion. And should they require assistance or service, then by all means, provide them with whatever assistance they need.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could I help you find your seat?
I'm fine. Sometimes, though, it's difficult for someone to admit that they actually need assistance, but you should still keep an eye on them and be prepared to provide assistance if it's needed. And even if you're told that no assistance is necessary, be sure to point out, both verbally and with directional signals, that other accommodations are available for them.
Hi, excuse me, folks. Could you do me a favor? Could you move down one seat so we can make some room for these folks? Okay, thank you, thank you. Here you go.
Always be aware of the theater environment as well, before, during, and after the feature presentation. Remember, those individuals you assisted into the theater auditorium will also need help exiting. And if you're going off shift, make sure you alert whoever is taking your place.
But the special needs of our patrons are not just limited to the auditorium. For example, a person in a wheelchair may not be able to reach up to the window. So if your box office counter doesn't provide for an easy transaction, be prepared to offer assistance outside the box office or call for another employee for assistance.
Hi, welcome to the Bijou. May I help you?
Conversely, a person with a hearing or speech impairment may not be able to communicate effectively with you, so always keep a pad and pencil nearby. On the other hand, the special needs patron you're dealing with may be very adept at reading lips, so speak slowly and clearly and look directly at the person. Almost every theater provides some sort of assistive listening device program, and you'll need to know not only how to use these devices as well as demonstrate them for the patrons.
This is our assistive listening device. Don't turn it on until you get into the theater.
You'll always be responsible for making sure that the devices are in working order. So know your theater's policies for distributing these devices and be prepared to notify your manager immediately if your ALDs are not operational.
Hi, hello. Primera impresión.
Now, there may also be instances where, for one reason or another, an individual has trouble reading the signage. Always be prepared to read the informational and directional signs. In some instances, a blind person will have a companion or a seeing eye dog, and all working dogs must be allowed to come into the theater. However, if the individual is alone or requires assistance, you should always be ready to assist them.
And when it comes to concessions, the design of your concession area will pretty much dictate the types of service accommodations you'll be able to address. For example, if you see that a patron is having difficulty reaching the countertop, then come around the counter and help the customer pay for and receive their order. And then, if necessary, help them into the auditorium. And if you're unable to leave your position, then by all means call another employee or manager for assistance. Just like at the box office, have a pad and pencil handy so customers with speech or hearing impairments can request their concession items in writing. In addition, be prepared to read the concession choices to any individual having difficulty reading the signage. While, in general, most theater policies prohibit an individual from bringing in food from outside sources, there are times when this is okay. For example, medical conditions can often dictate what and when a person must eat or drink. For this reason, it's also important to fill orders correctly. Giving a diabetic regular soda instead of the diet soda they requested could be disastrous, or even lethal. Likewise, if someone asks for ingredient information for a particular concession item, then make sure you provide them with as complete and accurate information as you possibly can. If necessary, allow them to read the content information for themselves, or contact your manager.
What do you think? Pretty funny? No. It's against the law to park in designated handicap spaces unless a handicap plate, permit, or sticker is visible. But remember, even though some patrons may look healthy, they might not be. For example, someone with a heart condition may look just fine. So base your decision on whether or not the vehicle has a permit, and if it doesn't, notify your manager immediately.
Remember, people everywhere, whether they have special needs or not, want to be treated with dignity and respect.
And everyone's visits to the theater, regardless of their needs, should be a special one.
By making every person who visits the theater feel comfortable and welcome, you've not only enhanced their movie-going experience, but more often than not, you've also won them over as a loyal customer for your theater.